What would spring be without a fling? So here we have Spring Fling. Hello, I'm Alan Gray and welcome to Get Gardening. And it's springtime and it's windy and it's March. But look here, this path is a shady path in the summer. But at this time of the year, the trees above are deciduous. They're just breaking into growth. It's Pyrus chanticleer, by the way, the ornamental pear. Just breaking into growth, and so we have dappled sunshine. So it's like a little woodland walk. And I'd just like to show you some of the treasures that we've got growing here. Now, if we come down to this level, beware of the creaky knees. We've got lovely little dainty anemone blanda. And hello, Bluebell. This is my little dog Bluebell behind me. And we have a variegated London Pride, a saxifrage. My grandmother grew that, and it's very much out of fashion at the moment, but I love it. And the great thing about it is it makes these lovely neat rosettes, and you can have other plants coming through, like the anemone. And here we've got a very late narcissus, the tiny, doesn't look as if it's got a flower bud, but there's a tiny little bud down at the bottom there. And as we move further along, we've got a selection of primulas, and these are some famous old polyanthus that were bred in Ireland, and I just love them, because if you look at these next to the modern polyanthus, it makes the modern polyanthus look positively vulgar. These have refinement, which I love. And there's another one here, which is an old variety. Moving on to here, we have an Edgeworthia, and it's called Red Devil. Well, to me that looks more orange than red, perhaps, but it's very definitely on the orange side of red. But it's a very early flowering shrub, and it has a delicious scent to it, which we can't smell today because the wind is rushing around and dispersing the scent everywhere. But it's lovely. And as we come further along here, we've got, I'll get into the back of the border so that you can see. This is a Daphne called Daphne odora, and it's called Oreo marginata because the edge of the leaf has a faint variegation. And that means that it's slightly hardier than the plain green leaf version. I don't know why, but it is. But the great thing about that is it is so heavily scented, it will scent the air for about 30 yards, I should think. On a still day, you can smell it. I first saw it at Lanhydrock House in Cornwall. Well, I first saw it. I first smelt it. I'm not a great fan of rhododendrons. I find their foliage dull and quite frankly rather boring. But this little beauty I saw for sale on Christmas Day, or near to Christmas anyway. It's called Christmas Cheer, and I thought, must have one of those if it flowers at Christmas time. But I was had, and you know how I was had. The clever nurseryman had a big plant in a pot, a living label, full of flower, just like this one here, around about Christmas time. But of course he'd forced it in a tunnel to bring it on earlier. And so I, like probably several other of his customers that day, fell in love with it and said, must have it because it's flowering at Christmas time. It doesn't. It starts flowering at the end of February, and here we are, middle of March, and it's still flowering. Ever been had? Officially, it's springtime. And what would be... Sorry, stop.